Awesome.
Nice to meet you.
All right, you as well.
Take care. Hunter, you can right on.
All right, so
Walk around or just the supercharger?
I don't know. I got to know about the supercharger. You got to tell me. You got to give me the deets.
The deets? Well, it's a lot better than stock, right?
It's a lot better than stock. That was a race car. I mean, it's more of a race car than my 4Runner was. That was the BMW 335 that I had a few years back. That car has, it was, I don't know if you know anything about them. That was a fun car. A car like that, like you wanted to have, the reason why you buy a car like that is you want good off-the-line acceleration. That's not what I expect or really even want out of my 4Runner. My 4Runner is not a race car. My 4Runner is a truck. I consider it a truck. It's a sports utility vehicle. I really could care less about the off-the-line acceleration. I'm never going to race anybody at a stop. I mean, you should never race anybody at a stoplight anyway, but the point is that I could care less about its 0 to 60 time. It doesn't matter to me. What I want is I want more highway power when I'm trailering the Turtleback trailer. And it's not even so much highway power under normal highway conditions. It's highway power in the mountains. It's highway power when I'm going up a hill. When I'm going up a pretty good grade, 6 or 7%, 65 miles an hour, I'm flooring it. It's all the 4Runner has. It's all it can do to keep going. Cruise control doesn't work. Plus, I'm running in third gear almost the whole time. I have a theory. I think the Supercharger guys have confirmed this, but with more power, the 4Runner won't need to go down into third gear as much. And I know re-gearing will help with some of that as well. And we're going to be talking with Travis Hess. I think that's his last name. With Team Fieldcraft, he sold his 4Runner, but he has an amazing 4Runner. I mean, and I'm actually regretting right now not doing a full detailed rig walk around because I've been looking at I missed an opportunity there. I know it. I'm just going to say it. But anyway, his 4Runner supercharged. He was there helping represent Magnuson, and I got to spend a lot of time with them to go into really, really good detail as far as like what makes the supercharger. I wanted to know everything. I wanted to know everything, and I figured you wanted to know everything as well. So today, this is going to be your go-to guide. This is going to be a resource. This is going to be everything that you need to know about if you're thinking about supercharging your 4Runner, and I'm seriously considering doing that myself. If you're thinking about doing that, you need to watch this video and share it with people that you know, because for us guys that want more power, I think it's a really good option. I do. I think it's a good option. Let me set this guy here. Do you mind?
No,
it's not going to hurt anything, but
no.
I didn't think you'd be like, don't touch my car.
Stop it. It's a show truck.
You're going to hurt my truck. We'll just lay it
in the blooper, right?
Flat. There you go. There we go. All right, let's start from the beginning, because the supercharger, so I know what a supercharger does, and you guys probably know what a supercharger does, right? It's forced induction, right? And actually, supercharger is belt driven.
Yes.
Whereas turbocharger is all air driven. The supercharger takes the belt on the pulley system, and I'm going to probably oversimplify this and not aptly describe this, but it basically uses that force and momentum to basically force air into the motor.
Correct.
Which accelerates the ability for it to, or the propensity for it to create power. I guess in my head, the fear that I have is that when I put something like this on my vehicle, I then change my vehicle from being something that what many consider to be bulletproof to something that might not necessarily be so bulletproof. What I don't want to do, what I want to avoid, is get 50,000 miles down the road or 100,000 miles down the road, which may be asking too much, but then start having like little stupid problems that could be rooted back to doing something like this. Not that this product would specifically hurt it, but doing something like this to a motor could cause other ancillary side effects.
Well, I think that goes in line with just about any modification you do to your truck.
Yeah,
right?
No, I understand that, but
the cost portion of it in terms of when it breaks down, replacing a motor is a lot more expensive than fixing something else. Magnuson, as you know, comes with its own warranty.
Right.
It doesn't void your factory warranty.
If I have no factory warranty, how does that stand?
Well, then you have your own Magnuson warranty.
Okay, so
Magnuson has, it's a 3-year, 36 1,000-mile warranty. Basically, what that warranty covers is anything that the supercharger induces in terms of any failures or anything like that. It is covered.
Okay.
They'll replace if they have to replace a motor because something went wrong with the tune. They're going to replace it.
Well, so let me throw a disclaimer in there because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's only if it's installed by an SAE certified mechanic. Right. So
Correct.
it's not me or me and my buddy in a garage.
Well,
Right?
that's
I
correct.
need to have an actual mechanic.
Yes.
Hang on one sec. We got lots and lots and lots of dust here. Okay, so I just wanted to throw that in there because I wanted to make sure everybody was clear on that because that's what I understood.
Yes.
And that's, I don't see any issue with that.
And believe it or not, the biggest purchases are dealerships.
Okay.
So people who are buying, right now there's a huge wait list to get one for 4Runner. We're pushing to fall if you order right now.
Okay.
So it's a long wait list, but yeah, you would want to have it installed by a mechanic.
I mean, from what I read, I had read an article that said it takes a certified mechanic about 5 hours of labor to do. Is that? I don't remember where I read that.
Here's the problem with superchargers in general as a broad spectrum. People get taken advantage of because people think forced induction. They start thinking like it's really complicated work. I did that in 10 hours.
Okay.
I'm not a mechanic.
Were you taking the top of the motor off and you're replacing it with this?
It's very simple. You know what takes the longest time? Prepping it.
Yeah.
Getting everything clean, getting everything pulled out, little minute things. Believe it or not, putting the blower on is probably one of the closest to the last steps you do.
Right.
Putting the heat exchanger pump is a little, especially if you're running a winch, it's a little tough. You got to redo the brackets. It's sitting right behind it.
Oh, so you've got an intercooler?
Correct.
Is that what that is?
Correct. But it's been great. We've done a few tunes since it's come out. I've had this on since September, I think. I have 25,000 miles on it.
Anything to be watching out for in terms of like ensuring maximum long-term reliability?
Don't beat it up.
Okay.
It's just the same. I mean,
Don't drive it like it's stolen all the time.
What people need to understand is, one, this is not a race car. We're not taking this to the drag strip and going racing with it. These are severely underpowered from the factory. So having that ability to have the extra power is immensely different. I would also understand what normal operating temps are. Especially when you're towing a trailer. If you're up in Colorado, which I frequently am, up in Telluride, high elevation, pull on a trailer. You gotta be wary of it. Nothing has happened with me.
So what are you doing to monitor your temps?
We run a scan gauge to it.
So how does the tune work?
This is a reflash, so it essentially comes like a bully dog style tuner, and they upload the map to it, and they send it to you, and then you plug it in, or the mechanic will plug it in and reflash it.
So you have to take it to a mechanic to do the reflash?
No, you can do it yourself. Yeah, it's very simple. It gives you the instructions while you go through it.
So one of the variables, from what I understand, is like tire size, tire type, weight of tire, maybe even lift can factor into some of that.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else that would have a gearing. If
Gearing.
somebody's re-geared.
Yep. So what we did is when I first got this, they initially started their tune on their personal 4Runner, which is stock tires. Then they bumped it to their tires to 33s, tested with that, didn't see any issues. No one had any gearing with it, so I literally just had I had it through the Supercharger on. A week later, I had 488s on it. And that was a concern of mine. I wanted to, there hasn't been any testing with it done with 488s or any re-gear for that matter at that point. And so I brought it right back to them and had them throw it on the dyno and see what happens. They will send you the tuner, you upload it, and it's honestly, it's very simple.
Is that through the OBD2?
Yeah.
So you have a cold air intake on here. Is that
Yeah, it's
correct?
prototype. Yeah.
Okay. But the factory airbox would work fine with the Magnuson.
I would recommend, if you do a Magnuson Supercharger, do not do any other performance mods.
Okay.
That's
I have a K&N filter, but
no, you'd be fine. That's fine. Yeah, anything that will increase. You got to think of it tune-wise. So it's tuned for very specific diameters in terms of your air-fuel ratio.
So leave
so
the
when you're
intake alone,
increasing,
leave the exhaust alone.
Leave it.
Don't change out headers or any of that other stuff.
Absolutely. Do not touch headers. Do not touch Y pipes, don't do any of that kind of stuff. Cat delete, don't do any of that.
Wasn't planning on doing any of that.
Yeah.
But I was just
Neither was I.
Just for clarification.
Yeah, very reliable. The tune is very, very reliable.
Is it ready to go now, or is there
Ready to
still
go
some
now.
tweaking in terms of tuning?
Tune's fine.
My biggest problem, and I'll give you the exact textbook example of the issue that I'm having, and I just dealt with this yesterday. Driving uphill, cruise control set to 70, towing my Turtleback, 3,200 pounds,
Yep.
fully loaded, and the cruise control just shut down. The car's like, I can't do it.
Yep.
And so then I'm like, fine, I'll take over, and I floor it, and I'm like, not even barely keeping my speed.
Yep.
And so in my head, I'm going, if I had 50 or 100 more horsepower, whatever number is that would give me a little bit more juice, that wouldn't so much be an issue. I don't need to go 90 miles an hour. I don't need to go to 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. I don't care about it.
Yeah.
I need a little more pulling power at speed with my trailer.
Exactly. My biggest, what woke me up to the effectiveness of it, whenever I hit a hill, I'm not searching for gears.
Right.
That was I could not stand that in the 4Runner. Was that I was jumping to 5,000 RPM going up a hill when there was no need for it. And you could drop it, you could put it in low manual mode and handle it yourself, but
Well, the other side of that is the other big thing is that I'm riding in third gear at 4,500 RPMs for
yeah.
miles. I mean, I was driving half the day yesterday in third gear, 4,500 RPMs, and it's just, and my thought process, and this is kind of leading up to the next little question is, my thought process is if I had 50 or 70 horsepower, whatever the number is, that fourth gear would be enough to carry that.
You will
instead of
not be
having to
working
go
as
third.
hard. You will not be working as hard. I'm actually going to bring Frank in to answer the very technical questions.
Okay.
So Frank is actually really works for Magnuson Superchargers. Going to answer the questions probably a lot better than
Frank,
I can.
I'm Jason.
Frank Bonnet,
Thank
pleased
you.
to meet
I
you.
appreciate your time.
In
What's your-
regards to what you were discussing or asking about,
Yeah.
my experience is that they won't be downshifting, and the added horsepower will pull it. The power band is great, and you don't have that constant hunting for a gear. And with a 3,500 pound trailer, it'll pull this mountain, and it will not downshift. That's the benefit. Is there a magic number we shoot for to do that? We shoot for the biggest piece of the pie, where we meet compliance with drivability and all those things put together, and this is the number we can tune to, not so much backing it in saying, you know, what can you do with a trailer, but that it seems to fall within that range. We certify these through the California Air Resources Board,
Right.
so they're 50 state compliant.
Right, so you
and
have
the
to-
tune-up has to stay that way to be compliant, you know. And second of all, most of our customers, you know, I have yet to have somebody say, geez, I wished it had more power. They're always pretty happy with the power, you know. So we think we're in that wide section of where the customer, you get all the benefits, but at this tune level, you don't have any of the consequences of adding power. When you start to build up in power, you start to have consequences. You were asking earlier about high mileage Toyotas. We haven't put them on with any, I have not had myself personally a significant problem with somebody putting it on with a great deal of miles. Matter of fact, we still sell, I think 5 or 6 3.4 liter Superchargers a month. Most of those vehicles must have well over 100,000 miles on them. This was the first one we made a Supercharger. It has no electronic enhancements or anything, but people are still buying them and bolting them on with, well over 100,000 miles. And they don't have any issues with them. And one of the reasons that is that obviously Toyota builds a great vehicle, but the other reason is normal driving. Most people only drive in the boost about 5% of the time, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, you really have to be flooring it and really give it a gas for it to spool.
Well, you get on the freeway and then you're just loping along. You're kind of just touching the throttle. So you're not in a boost zone. So when you're going up the hill, you may be boosting. When you're getting on the freeway, when you're passing on a 2-lane road, you'll get into it. But you're not always on it. So the motor isn't seeing any additional strain for majority of the time. That's one of the reasons.
I probably should have said this. He has you want to tell him about where you worked before Magnuson? That probably has a very big input on your knowledge of
Make sure you're recording.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, tell us.
I worked for TRD.
Okay.
And I was part of when we first developed the very first Superchargers, so I was through that whole development thing, and not that I had anything to do with it, the engineers did, but I followed every one of those and driven every Supercharger and have a pretty good knowledge of what we do with them. And I'm really, you know, they're a great addition for everything you want, but none of the nonsense. You don't have to make a sacrifice to get the added power. You know, they're quiet, you know, they're rebuildable, you know, they give you the performance you want at the RPM you want, and Toyota, for whatever reason, Toyotas lend themselves to supercharging. You know, it's a good marriage.
Instead of turbocharging?
Well, turbocharging initially we looked at turbocharging, but our whole goal at that time was our business was driven to the dealerships. At TRD, we wanted to sell to dealer. We wanted to give the dealer something to sell. And so the whole goal was to make this as easy to install and as less complicated as possible, and to be able to certify it, which almost has to be non-adjustable and that sort of thing. So Supercharger was really the answer because of who our customer was.
Okay.
We didn't sell outside the Toyota network ever. We sold to Toyota dealers, and that was the deal. So that's what drove the initial Supercharger, you know, because it bolted on so easy, and you know, you didn't have to cut, modify, or fabricate anything, and we could get CARB certification on it.
You know, I'm apprehensive naturally because I don't want to get into a scenario where I'm having to worry about reliability, but also at the same time, you know, like you're saying, you know, I mean, it's like you don't beat it up, and you don't beat up your vehicle anyway. I mean, we do a little bit of beating up our vehicles and off road, but I'm not driving like a race car anyway.
We expect you to be able to use it.
Yeah, you want to be able to give it some gas.
There's a difference between use and abuse.
Yeah, I understand.
You know, there are people that just, you know, shouldn't have anything mechanical near them. You know, I mean, a supercharger is as close as an automotive shot put as you can get.
Yeah.
There's not much that can go wrong with them. You know, the thing that's so neat about them is everything they do, but without having the penalty of giving up something.
Yeah.
You know, the kids can drive it, the wife can drive it. There's no
not
anomalies about it because it has a supercharger. Right. And that was a goal, and it even looks like it belongs there. And that was another goal. A lot of people say, well, I wish it was chrome and had neon lights, but the goal was,
it bounced, yeah.
well, the goal was to really emulate the quality and fit and finish that Toyota has, and I believe that Magnuson's done that. You know, if you look at all the connectors and the fittings and all that stuff, it really looks OE, and it's a great product.
Perfect.
This is a really unique thing because it's a product that when not everybody can afford it, I grant you that,
yeah.
But everybody would like to have one because of what it does.
And you guys know, and you don't know yet, but maybe I can send you a link later, but I deliberated through, I had made the decision to sell my 4Runner because I bought my wife a 200 series Land Cruiser, the 5.4 or 5.7?
5.7.
The V8, it's a great motor. It's got a great reputation, and it's got a lot of power. And trailering with the Land Cruiser, I hadn't done it yet, but I imagine, I've talked to a lot of people, I mean, it would be a lot more pleasurable of an experience over the 4Runner. I really like my 4Runner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I like my wife's Land Cruiser, but I like my 4Runner more. Yeah, I could spend an extra $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000, whatever the number is for one of them, and go buy a Land Cruiser. I would be giving up all of the things that I like about the 4Runner and only gaining the power. And so in my head, I'm going, I can keep all of the things I like about the 4Runner and then add the power. The only question I have is, am I compromising long-term reliability? It sounds like I'm not, as long as I take care of it.
No, but you're not. You're not making
good.
a compromise.
Yeah.
And that's a valid deal. You know, I don't know how many miles you have on yours now.
About 20, I think.
Yeah. You know, like I said, you aren't driving the boost. Let's say even you're using it more than the average person, and 10% of the time. That's still 90% of the time. It's just acting like a manifold system. Yeah. So,
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
So
you're not putting all
the
that
other
strength
stuff
all the time.
Well, all the other sum of its parts that's still Toyota is still Toyota.
Right.
For 90% of the time.
Over-engineered.
Yeah, but for 90% of the time, it's everything as it was. Right. You know, that wouldn't be my concern.
Okay.
My concern would be if you like the vehicle, you know, and you have the wherewithal to get one, that would be the consideration, because you won't be disappointed. I guarantee you'll like it.
Okay.
It to me, you know, it changes the dynamic of the vehicle that I look forward to driving. Right? You know, one of those things, you get done with work, you're gonna go, I get to go home.
Take the long way.
I'll take the long way. Exactly, you're exactly right. It's it's my new favorite. I really like it. It matches, it meets, they meld together really well to give you an end product that is really nice.
Just briefly go into the driving characteristics. We didn't talk. Just
No, we didn't.
Give me a description of like what it's like whenever.
Getting on the freeway, prime example. You know, like when you need the power, and you just don't have it.
Right.
You have it now. And I could not stand the whole finding a gear. I couldn't stand it. That eliminates the strain that you're constantly trying to find a gear. So I've towed this trailer, both this vehicle and a Tundra,
A
with
new
the same motor,
tune-up?
the 5.7.
What year is it?
I honestly don't see that much of a difference.
Not that much of a difference.
Like I said, I didn't even notice the whine until I did the snorkel
Okay.
and the intake. That's when I really started.
So it's really not noisy at all. I mean, I don't really care.
No, I can start it up right now.
Yeah.
I'm right here. I'll start
Yeah,
it up
let's
right
do
now.
it.
If you want to give me a call, I'll check and see. I don't think we've
Let's get your dust
done anything since. Yeah. You know, that's a.
I hear nothing. It sounded exactly like mine.
Yeah, and then
I mean, it sounds exactly like mine does. I mean, I know what a supercharge does, so I hear a little bit, but it's
so minute.
yeah, is there anything else I should think about? This is going to be a very long movie of everything you need to know about the Magnuson
This
Supercharger.
is a feature film.
Yes.
Is what I think we call it, right? Yeah. In terms of the I mean, here's the thing. Especially when you're buying a product, right? Spending especially this amount of money, you want to make sure it's reliable.
Yeah.
If you look at Magnuson's history, literally if people research their history, they'll realize that Magnuson there's a reason why they are who they are.
Right.
So,
Well, I appreciate your time.
of course,
certainly.
man. Of course.
And
I'm a big fan. I haven't told him that yet. I'm like jittering because I'm so excited.
it's just ridiculous. That's just the silliest thing I've heard all day. Yeah, I of course follow you on Instagram, and I'll put a link somewhere for you to find Travis. Yeah.
Here, or here.
Yeah, wherever
here.
it comes up.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate your time.
Of course, man. Honestly, anytime.
No, thank you very much.
I can't believe I met him in person. So crazy.
He's being retarded.
Take a quick punch. 40 punch from second.